Thanks for tuning in to Book Bites. Today's review is for the third book in the Beyond the Four Kingdoms series, and it's called A Crown of Snow and Ice by Melanie, Cellier. This is a retelling of the Snow Queen. I admit I'm not actually very familiar with the original fairy tale for this story, so that didn't really mean very much to me, but maybe you do, so... Anyways, so the main character is Princess Cellier. She is a close friend of the two princesses who were the main characters of the previous two books. She was invited by two of the other princesses who took part in the princess tourney from A Dance of Silver and Shadow to visit their kingdom, along with their brother Oliver. So their kingdom, Eldon, is most well known, at least in recent years, for being very, very cold. They've had longer and longer winters for the past few years, and now it almost seems as though it's never going to be spring. But more than that, there's something really strange going on with Eldon's people. The other princesses noticed it during the tourney as well, that it seemed as though the people from Eldon were all really emotionless, I guess. I think someone described it as kind of as though your heart was frozen over, and this lack of emotion and motivation is extremely obvious. You can see it when, for instance, they got kidnapped by people or waylaid by what they at first assume are bandits, and all the guards just quietly lay down all their weapons as ass, and nobody makes a fuss about it, and no one seems particularly concerned, even though it's a group of bandits kidnapping three princesses. And it just strikes Cellier as really, really bizarre. But she's also really excited at the idea of coming on this adventure and figuring out this curse and possibly finding some way to break it. Though Cellier herself comes from a very warm and tropical kingdom where it sounds like they don't really get snow. And during her, the last time she met her godmother, because in this world, in certain kingdoms that still abide by what they refer to as the laws of the High King, people have godmothers who will look after them and often provide them with things like magical gifts and assistance. Her godmother told her that she was giving her the gift of fire. Cellier didn't understand what that meant, but she's basically about to find out. It seems as though it's possible that she was given a gift that will would enable her to help save this strange and frozen kingdom. So this story is basically her trying to figure out what's going on here, trying to free the people and prevent a coup, because some of the people who aren't as affected by whatever it is that's going on are growing really concerned because they don't have any harvest because they're just it's too cold for crops to grow, and more than that, people like the king and so on seem completely unconcerned and are taking no actions to try to save everyone. So there's a talk of rebellion and stuff because people are so concerned at the possibility of not being able to survive the winter. So let's see. I think it was more interesting to me because I'm not familiar with the original story, and the mystery of the weirdness going on with the people and the winter that doesn't seem to want to end. Those were things that I found interesting, and their description of the city, which they have built into the mountainside to help shelter from things like the cold, has some really nice kind of overall imagery. Something I did not like. I found it kind of frustrating how little initiative the characters show. Maybe it's kind of a funny comment considering the context of this story, but other than the beginning where Cellier did kind of work hard to try to deal with the fact that they were kidnapped, I felt like the characters spent way too much time sitting around and waiting. It's like they're concerned about not being able to figure out the mystery and not being able to do something about the curse in time, but at least as far as I can tell from what's written in the story, they don't actually do very much about it. It's like they spend weeks on end like just sitting around and worrying until a clue falls into their laps, which it actually eventually does, and that's really not the way I would have liked them to start getting their answers. It's like I think it would have been fine if they tried things and failed, but I would have liked to see them try things like go check out your records, see what kind of stuff is in the castle library, like do something other than wait. And it felt like because of the way they started to get their answers, it's like it was super straightforward because you just follow the clues that fall right in front of you, and it made it so that as far as the mystery goes, there didn't really end up being much in the way of examining or solving it because it all became really straightforward since a lot of the stuff happens to them as opposed to them actually taking actions to do something about it.